It is Friday, March 15th, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I'm Matt Modi, and I'm here to give you my 3 favorite NBA player props for tonight's NBA betting slate. We have a little bit of a smaller slate this Friday, and I didn't want to force for picks if I didn't have them. So I'm just going with 3 today, but I am very confident in the 3 plays that we have today, 2 of which are of the plus money banger variety, which you gotta love. But before we can get into today's picks, I got to do a recap from yesterday. And the hot streak continued yesterday. I just cannot believe the run that we are currently on. That now makes it 3 straight profitable days. And that makes it that we've been profitable in 7 of our past 8 days as well. Yesterday was incredible. Not only was it a day in the green, but it was very much in the green. On the YouTube channel, I gave out 4 picks. We got 3 of those 4 to cash. And then as the day went on, I added another pick as well. I gave that out both on my Dub Club and I gave that out for free on YouTube as well. Everything that goes out on the Dub Club gets officially tracked. And we catch that play as well. So we ended the day yesterday 4-1, up 4.1 units on our mainline plays. We got Jalen Green over 22 points to cash. We got SGA over 30.5 points to cash. We got Jason Tatum over 3.5 made 3-pointers to cash. We did lose Devin Booker 3+ made 3-pointers. The volume was there, but his efficiency was not. But the play that we added later was Tyrese Maxey 4+ made 3-pointers. That was pretty juicy at plus 160 odds. We put a full unit on that, and we got that bad boy to cash. So 4-1, up 4.1 units on mainline plays. And we had a good day from a ladder perspective as well. I got 2 of my ladder plays to cash. We climbed the full ladder with Jalen Green. We had his main line. We had him 25+, and we had him 30+. He scored 37. I could have bumped him up even more. But we ended the day profitable on ladder plays as well. 2-1, up 1 unit on ladder plays, up over 5 units alone yesterday if you add them up together. Just an amazing run that we are on. I cannot get over it. And I'm just going to ride this out as long as possible. I'm going to see how long we can ride this hot streak. On the entire season, we are up 76.71 units. I never thought I would be above the 75 unit mark in the middle of March, but here we are. Let's get to 80 next, which I hope we can get to by the end of this weekend, if not even more than that. And then on ladder plays, which I officially started tracking on February 24th, we are up 7.61 units specifically on ladder plays. So I wish I had started tracking that from the beginning of the year because we would be up a lot more than 7.61 units. But I didn't. I can only go with what I officially started tracking, which still 7.61 units, close to 10 units in a couple weeks of doing this just on ladder plays is pretty good. So all in all, amazing success. I would appreciate it. Those of you that are not already, if you could click that subscribe button, trust me, you're going to want to get in on these bangers with us. I know eventually we're going to have a cold couple days, but not today. Let's ride this out as long as possible. And then for this specific video, all the interaction you could give me would be very beneficial. On these hot days, I try to just pump them up as much as possible. So if you could like, if you could comment, all that stuff does help me out a ton. But enough of that. You're only as good as your next banger. So let's see if we can splash around and get wet, continue the hot streak tonight. First up, Hawks versus Jazz game. I'm taking Collin Sexton over 22.5 points. This is best offered at -105 odds at DraftKings. So full disclosure, I was able to get this over 21.5 at -125. But by the time that I posted the video and posted my plays on Dub Club, unfortunately, that was no longer available. So I'm officially going to be tracking the over 22.5 number. And let's just hope that he doesn't land on exactly 22 so I cash and everybody else gets hooked. And I still really do like this 22.5 play. So I would absolutely still smash this play. Also, I'm going to ladder him to 25+ points for a half unit. That's at plus 140 odds, excuse me. And I'm going to ladder him to 30+ points as well, putting a quarter unit on that at plus 380 odds. So I'm climbing the full ladder with Collin Sexton like we did with Jalen Green. Let's hope it works for the second night in a row. And as I mentioned, this is an absolute smash play. Of my 3 picks that I have today, this one is probably my favorite. So if you just had to take one or you just wanted to know which one was my favorite, it's definitely this Collin Sexton one. Reason why? There are tons of injuries for the Jazz, right? Chris Dunn is out. Lauri Markkanen is out. Jordan Clarkson are all out. And then Taylor Hendricks is listed as questionable. He's probably going to play, but still just another guy that's banged up for the Jazz. And this is not quite the juiciest matchup in the NBA for Collin Sexton, but it's pretty close up there. It's close to a dream matchup against a horrible Hawks defense. According to Courtside Pal, The Hawks are giving up the 7th most points per game to Collin Sexton's shooting profile and the 6th most to his scoring profile. That makes sense. If you just look on the entire season, the Hawks are also allowing the 5th most points per game specifically to shooting guards. Now, I like looking at Courtside Pal because it just puts players in a similar profile based on how they score, not just based on position. So I do think it's important to look not just at the position defense, but how they actually give up points as well. Either way, it's a juicy matchup according to Courtside Pal, or just looking at their defense against shooting guards. In this play, it's just a volume plus a matchup play, right? Collin Sexton is probably going to get 30, if not 34, 35 minutes of playing time. In his last 10 games, he's averaging over 30 minutes of playing time. With all these guys out, I would be shocked if he did not get to the 30-plus minute number in terms of playing time. And for what it's worth, RotoWire, which is a source that I look at, they project Collin Sexton for 34 minutes, which I think makes sense with all these guys out. And if you isolate the data specifically in games in which Collin Sexton has played 30 or more minutes, he's gone over 22.5 points in 13 of 18 games in which he's played 30 minutes, and he's done it in 8 of 9 home games as well. The only time he didn't go over this number was the Jazz last home game, and that was against the Celtics, and he still scored 20 points in that game. The Celtics defense is not remotely close to this Hawks defense, right? Obviously, the Celtics defense is probably the best in the NBA, if not the second best. The Hawks defense, not quite at that level. So I love Collin Sexton tonight. Matchup plus volume equals dream play for this situation. That's our first play. Next up, Heat versus Pistons game. I'm taking Jimmy Butler over 22.5 points. This one is at plus 100 odds at DraftKings. This is another play that I'm also going to ladder. I'm going to take Jimmy Butler to score 25 plus points. That's at plus 160 odds at Bet365. Now I understand, I'm putting a half unit on that, I should say. So half unit on Jimmy Butler, 25 plus points at plus 160 odds. Now I understand that it's always scary backing Jimmy Butler in the regular season. Sometimes he just doesn't care. But I do think that this is a great spot for him. I did have Jimmy Butler in my list of plays, I believe on Sunday, and he came through for us. So let's hope he can do it in 2 games in a row, specifically appearing on the Splash Zone. First of all, the matchup against the Pistons is excellent. It's a very good matchup for Jimmy Butler to score a ton of points. According to Courtside Pal, the Pistons are literally giving up the most points per game to Jimmy Butler's scoring profile. And it makes complete sense when you dive into it a little bit. The Pistons defense, what are they the worst at? They're the worst defense in terms of fouling, right? They just cannot keep their hands to themselves, and they foul a ton. They give up the 3rd most points per game specifically to isolation scoring, and Jimmy scores the most points on the Heat via the ISO by far, right? He scores the most isolation points for the Heat, and the Pistons are giving up the 3rd most points per game via ISO. But the biggest reason why the Pistons are giving up so much points via ISO is because they foul at such a high rate. They foul at the 3rd highest rate in the NBA, specifically on isolation possessions, but they're only 0.01% behind the 2 teams above them. So the 2 teams above them are tied for first. They're literally 0.01% behind them, fouling at the 3rd highest rate. Jimmy Butler, when he ISOs, literally draws fouls at the best rate in the entire NBA. When he isolates, he gets fouled at a 28.5% rate. If you filter the data to players who ISO more than 1 possession per game, that's by far the most in the NBA, and nobody is even above 25%, and Jimmy's at 28.5%. The Pistons, they play a ton of big guys. They have a ton of big bodies around the rim, so they're not known as like the Pistons or the Wizards as one of the worst teams in the NBA at specifically guarding guys in the restricted area or getting to the rim. Technically true, but because they're so handsy and foul so much, they give up a lot of points to guys like Jimmy who attack the basket. The last time these 2 teams played, Jimmy Butler scored 26 points, and he got to the line 12 times. Now, he did miss this the first time these 2 teams played this year. Granted, that was back in October. That was forever ago. But in that game, Jimmy still got to the line another 9 times. The reason why he went under is because he shot 6 of 18 from the field. With that type of volume and with the amount of free throw attempts he's most likely to take, I'm very confident he's going to get us to at least 23 points to cash our main play but also to 25 points to cash our ladder play as well. And the last point that I'll make, and this is more narrative based, so I don't want to put too much emphasis on this, but the Heat have lost 4 straight games. At this point, they're currently the 8th seed. I know Jimmy Butler never cares about the regular season, but I do expect him to show up in this specific matchup. A, because it's just a juicy matchup for him to score in general, and B, just to stop the bleeding a little bit. I think he's going to show up a little bit more than he normally does. That's not why I'm on the play. That's, again, a little more narrative-based, and I try to avoid narrative-based plays as much as possible. But if it adds an extra 2 points, that could get us to our ladder. So I do think I just wanted to mention it. That's our second play. Next up, third and final pick of the video. And actually, I do have 2 honorable mentions as well, just to throw that out there. But our third official pick and final one, we're going back to the Hawks versus Jazz game, and I'm taking DeJounte Murray to record a double-double. This is best offered at plus 125 odds at bet365. I'm mostly playing him to get to 10 plus assists. That's my analysis, is mostly based on him getting to 10 plus assists. But in the off chance that he does get 10 rebounds, which I do think happens, I decided to play it a little bit safer and go with the double-double as opposed to only playing him to get to 10 plus assists. In the last 10 games, he's gotten 10 rebounds once, and he's gotten 9 rebounds another 2 times. So I'm not going to say it's likely that he gets to 10 rebounds, but it's likely enough that I decided to go with double-double as opposed to 10-plus assists. The odds weren't dramatically different, so I decided to play it a little bit safer. If you wanted to just take the 10-plus assists, because, again, that's what most of my analysis is based off of, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm only officially tracking the double-double. With all that said, and with that in mind, point guard assist plays against the Jazz is a matchup that we've been targeting all year, and it's just one of the best matchups in the world for point guards to rack up a ton of assists. On the year, the Jazz are allowing the most point guard assists per game in the entire NBA at 9.8. That's per a website called #NBA. Love the website, don't quite love the name, but according to them, DeJounte Murray the Hawks allow the most assists per game in the NBA on the entire season at 9.8. And if you isolate the data to the past 30 days, which you can do on that website, they're actually worse. Over the past 30 days, they're allowing 10.6 assists per game to point guards. And no other team in the NBA in that span is even at 10 or above. So they're the most by far. Unsurprisingly, according to Courtside Pal, the Jazz give up the most assists per game to DeJounte Murray's playmaking style. Obviously, that makes sense based on everything I've said. And it's just the way they play defense, right? They have no perimeter defense, especially with Chris Dunn out. They have nobody that can guard the perimeter, but they're very aggressive in sending help, double teams, help defense, whatever it may be, that as soon as the point guard is able to get into the paint a little bit, they're just crashing down or they're coming off of their big man. So many ways in which a point guard can get assists. Trey's been out since February 25th. It's been a while at this point. In that stretch, DeJounte Murray has gotten 10 plus assists in 4 of 9 games. So not quite the over 50% hit rate that you would like, but in 2 of the games that he didn't get to 10 plus assists or even over his mainline assist number, which is 8.5, he scored 40 points. Yeah, if that happens, you're unlikely to play make as much if you're scoring a ton. In this matchup, I think it's more likely that he racks up a bunch of assists than a bunch of points. That's why, obviously, I like this play. These 2 teams did just play at the end of February. DeJounte Murray had 11 assists in that game. I wouldn't be surprised if he had another 11 assists in this one. The points, if he doesn't get 10 points, so be it. He's almost guaranteed to at least get the 10 points. So it's just the assists. That's the main play here. But in the off chance he gets it on rebounds as well, that's why I went with double-double. And that's all we got. 3 official plays for you guys to lock in. I don't do this a ton. I do have 2 honorable mentions as well. I was heavily debating both of these plays. It was it was Jamal Murray over 21.5 points, and it was Nikola Jokic over 25.5 points. Both of them individually have very good matchups to score against the Spurs. They're too unreliable in the regular season. And honestly, I didn't know which one to pick. So I'd rather just be safe as opposed to either playing both or maybe choosing the wrong one. We're on such a hot streak that I can afford to not force plays, right? I'm just going to go with the 3 that we have. But if you want to throw a half unit or maybe parlay those 2 going over their point total, by all means, I like them both individually. And that's all we got. 3 official bangers for you guys to lock in. And the last thing I mention it at the end of every video when I have hinted at it a little bit. I have a dub club. It's only $5 a month. And the one thing that I do want to be clear is don't think I'm trying to sell you on some VIP picks package, right? I'm not saying, oh, I'm on a hot streak, come buy my picks. That's not how it works. It's $5 a month. And everything that you see me give out on Twitter for free or on YouTube for free is what I send out on Dub Club. I just send it out early. So as soon as I decide what my plays are for the day, I send them out immediately on Dub Club, and then I start working on the YouTube video. So the Dub Club, you get it for $5 a month, and you get everything texted to you. So you don't need to watch the videos if you don't care about the videos, or if you don't always have time to watch them, you can just use the Dub Club. Or, and this was the main reason I made it, there are people that would watch the YouTube videos and would get frustrated because the odds would have already changed. They'll say, hey, I will pay to get these texted to me a little bit early. So I didn't want to charge a ton. I only charged, like I said, $5 a month. And everything, to be clear, you get on the Dub Club, you can get for free either on YouTube or on Twitter. It just depends whether you want them early before the odds change, or if you just want everything texted to you so you don't have to watch the YouTube video if you don't care. Or if you'd rather pay the price of free, the best price in the world, and get everything on YouTube and Twitter, totally fine with me. However you want it, it's totally fine. I just like giving people the option, and that's all we got. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.